Hi, I'm Rick, and this is my review of my Xebex AirPlus Expert 3.0 Smart Connect air bike. So a bit of an introduction. As I've been putting together my home gym, I've done quite a bit of extensive research into air bikes in the $1,000 price range, including two of the most popular air bikes on the market today, that being the Schwinn Airdyne Pro, also marketed as the Octane Airdyne X, which is behind me, the commercial version, as well as the Rogue Echo bike. Research online, as well as demoing both those products and spending time with those. I've recently come across this bike, purchased this a couple of weeks ago, spent some time on it for doing some extensive research into features, and I believe it's a superior bike on the market today in the $1,000 price range, and I think I actually prefer it over those two other bikes. And I want to get into some of the reasons why, but before I get into that, just a bit of a disclaimer. I am in no way employed by Xebex, nor am I compensated for any future purchases as a result of this review. This is just an unbiased review, my personal opinion, and I'm just hoping, as someone who's spent quite a bit of time looking at these bikes, spending time riding these bikes, researching these bikes, that this review will be something that's helpful to you as well. Alright, so in this review, it'll be set up in 4 sections. The first section will be a quick overview of the bike, just kind of walking around some of the specific details on this Xebex air bike. The next section will be a riding demo, so you'll see some time spent riding on the Xebex bike, as well as the Octane or Schwinn air bike for a comparison. The third section will be a high-level features comparison of this Xebex bike in relation to both the Schwinn or Octane bike, as well as a Rogue Echo bike. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some closing comments and overall feedback. All right, so now just a quick overview, walkthrough of this Xebex air bike. So this is marketed as a commercial grade unit, and at first glance, everything about this says commercial. It is definitely heavy duty. It is definitely overbuilt. This bike weighs about 180 pounds, which is very, very heavy for an air bike, and that provides a tremendous advantage when you're riding very fast. Air bikes that are lighter weight tend to rock back and forth. This bike remains planted. It's very, very stable. As I mentioned, very, very overbuilt. This bike, and I love the look, and the black and the red. I think it looks very sharp. And as I mentioned, although it's very heavy for an air bike, you do have the handle in the back with the wheels in the front to make it easy to move around, and it is very easy to move around if you need to. Moving to the front of the bike, you'll see a very sharp looking fan blades. It's all in red and metal, very heavy duty, with the ring to support the magnetic resistance. We'll get into that in a little bit. You've got the foot stops, nice if you need to give your legs a rest and just work the arms. Moving to the handlebars, you've got 2 different handlebar positions, which I think is really advantageous for an air bike to be able to work different muscle groups, or to give different muscle groups a break for a longer ride. Next, moving into the seat, you've got a very nice, wide, comfortable seat. Actually, it's a very, very comfortable seat, and you have multiple adjustments for positioning of the seat, both forward and aft. I really like the way that this seat adjusts. It's a simple lever that you pull up, and you can move it forward and aft very easily. Essentially infinite positions, as opposed to the traditional way where you've got set levers. And then finally, moving it up and down, you've got there's a pull lever. Once you pull it out, you can slide the seat up and down. Also very easy, and kind of the infinite positions as well. All right, next, as we move to the center of the bike, you'll see this lever. This lever controls the magnetic resistance. It's a unique feature of this bike, and with this, you can control the setting from a low level of 1 up to level 8. Very easy with the slide of this lever. Level 1, that's the lowest level of resistance, with level 8 being the highest level. Typical air bike is right around a 4 or a 5. I find that when I'm riding at a level 5, it's pretty analogous to riding the Octane Airdyne X or the Schwinn Airdyne Pro. But with this bike, you get additional flexibility to increase resistance even further for more high intensity workouts, all the way to a level 8, which is higher resistance than any other air bike on the market. And then as well, an alternative at some of these lower level settings, you can support more of a low intensity steady state workout. All right, and next, just a quick look at the console. See, it's a very nice console. The details all on one screen. At the top, you see the total time with the elapsed time over on the left, reference to calories, distance, watts, speed, level, corresponding to the magnetic resistance level, and then finally RPM. You also have some opportunities to do interval training as well as connect to Bluetooth. There's some targets, a reference to time, distance, calories, and heart rate as well. All right, for this next section of the review, just wanted to do a quick riding demo comparison, comparing both the Xebex versus the Schwinn or Octane air bike. So I'll start first with the Xebex. Okay, and now for the Schwinn or Octane. So for this next section of the review, just wanted to do a features overall comparison, comparing the Xebex bike to both the Schwinn Octane bike over here, as well as the Rogue Echo bike. So starting with the overall look, this Xebex bike is the most overbuilt of the three in this $1,000 price range. This bike weighs 180 pounds, incredibly stable. As you saw in the riding demo, and this 180 pounds, how does it compare? The Rogue Echo bike is 120 pounds and is also marketed as overbuilt. This bike is even more overbuilt at 180 pounds, and this Schwinn or Octane bike is about 110 pounds. So this Xebex bike, definitely beefy, well built to withstand commercial use for sure. From a dimensions perspective, all three bikes are roughly the same. I would say that this Xebex bike, is comparing directly to this Octane bike over here. It's a little bit bigger, but from a size perspective, in terms of floor space, they're very, very similar. From a handlebars perspective, I'm a big fan of having multiple handlebar grip positions. Both for the ability to work different muscle groups as well as just a comfort level in longer rides. This Xebex bike, as you see, has two handlebar positions with both the vertical and the horizontal, and this Octane or Schwinn bike has three. I would say this has a slight advantage over this, and with the Xebex bike having just two, it would be in second place with the Rogue Echo in last with just a single position. But I think as long as you have multiple positions, I think that's a tremendous advantage for you. From a console perspective, I'm a big fan of having all of the units and the metrics displayed all on one screen. With the Schwinn or the Octane, a big disadvantage, you'll see in some of the reviews, people will mention that you do have to kind of toggle through to see different things, and you know, with the Rogue or the Xebex, having it all in one, I say those two bikes kind of win out in that category. The next consideration is belt driven. I'm only going to consider a bike that's belt driven just due to the fact that it's lower maintenance. All three of these bikes that I referenced in this review are belt driven, so no advantage for any of the three. But just due to the lower maintenance, you know, there are some bikes that are chain driven, and I'm just a big fan of the belt driven bikes. Next consideration, the magnetic resistance. As I mentioned, it's a key differentiator for the Xebex. Of the three bikes in this price range, it's the only one with magnetic resistance. You know, I gotta be honest, at the beginning, and I wasn't really sure how much I would use it, and I found that I've used it more and more. And the reason is, there's multiple reasons why. And the first of which is just in terms of what type of ride that I'm doing. You know, I've got the ability quickly to flip it down to level 8 for a high intensity workout, as well as bringing it up to a lower for a steady state ride, which you can't do with either the Rogue Echo or the Octane very easily. It's, you know, obviously the RPM that you're riding will, you know, raise and lower the resistance to a point. But, you know, the flexibility you have with the magnetic resistance increases the variability of the rides that you can do. And if you only have space for one bike, if you don't have a cycling bike or a spin bike, then, you know, all of your rides are going to be done on one bike. This, with the magnetic resistance, allows you to do that much more easier. And I think that it's just it's a game changer, particularly in this price range, to be able to find that type of feature. Next consideration is the seat adjustment. I'm a big fan of the seat adjustment on the Xebex. It's the only one of the three that has kind of that infinite adjustment that you can do. And the Octane, Schwinn, and the Rogue Echo have a more of a traditional with just the levers, where you've got the set positions of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you've got, you know, desire to be kind of in between the two, you're kind of out of luck. I find that this is, you know, it's going to be much more comfortable when you can find the exact position that you'd like, and it's also a lot easier to adjust much more quickly, particularly in a commercial environment space. Next consideration is the Smart Connect, and of the three bikes, the only one with the ability to connect via Bluetooth to the cloud to be able to store your workouts is this Xebex bike. And the Bluetooth ability to connect and save your past workouts is also another differentiator for this bike in this category. And I find that, you know, a lot of the other workout equipment is moving to Smart Connect ability, and a definite advantage for this Xebex bike as well. All right, so next I just wanted to wrap up with some closing comments and overall feedback. Overall, I'm a really big fan of this Xebex AirPlus Expert 3.0 Smart Connect air bike. I was a bit hesitant at first to purchase this model just due to the limited external reviews I could find online. I'm aware of the Xebex rower being pretty popular as a competitor to the Concept 2, and just kind of reading through the features of this bike online, it got me really curious. I'm really happy that I made the decision to purchase this bike, and as I mentioned, just kind of overall features comparison in this price range of about $1,000. I believe this bike is far superior to both the Schwinn Octane as well as the popular Rogue Echo bike. As I mentioned, you know, the others, you know, the Rogue Echo bike really prided itself on being very overbuilt. I believe this bike is even more so than that. And in addition to having the magnetic resistance feature, which is just a further differentiator, and the Smart Connect, which is also a pretty useful tool, and the adjustability of the seat. It's a really comfortable, very robust bike to use. You know, I don't have a lot of time to do workout, and you know, as I've been forming my home gym, I've been really trying to focus on different pieces of equipment where I can get very intense workouts in such a short amount of time. And in starting out at the home gym and just doing research into air bikes, there's no question that I wanted to get one. And so, as I mentioned, spending a lot of time doing research into air bikes, I'm just really happy that I found this one. I mean, I can get my heart rate up very quickly on this bike, and if I'm ever want to do a very intense workout, I can quickly move the resistance down to 8, and it's really incredibly intense. As I mentioned, it gets the heart rate up, and it's a tremendous cardiovascular exercise. I will also add that for my home gym, I also have a treadmill. I have a Bowflex Max trainer and a rower, and I believe that this bike adds a great variability to my workouts, keeps things interesting, and continues to work different muscle groups for cardiovascular development. I am training for my first marathon a little bit later this year, and this is helping me get into the best cardiovascular shape possible for that in the shortest amount of time. So for me, it's all about efficiency, and this bike does that. So with that, I hope that this review was helpful for you. And if it was, I would appreciate it if you're able to press the like button. If you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to answer those in the comments section. So feel free to ask away if you have any other further questions comparing other bikes, or just my thoughts on any of these that I covered today. I'm happy to do that. I'll also include a link in the description for how you can purchase this bike. As I mentioned, I'm not compensated in any way for you purchasing this, but if it's helpful for you, I'm happy to share that as well. So with that, I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you.